Malawi, landlocked country in southeastern Africa. Endowed with spectacular highlands and extensive lakes, it occupies a narrow, curving strip of land along the East African Rift Valley. Lake Nyasa, known in Malawi as Lake Malawi, accounts for more than one-fifth of the country's total area. Most of Malawi's population engages in cash crop and subsistence agriculture. The country's exports consist of the produce of both small land holdings and large tea and tobacco estates. Malawi has received a significant amount of foreign capital in the form of development aid, which has contributed greatly toward the exploitation of its natural resources and has allowed Malawi to at times produce a food surplus. Nevertheless, its population has suffered from chronic malnutrition, high rates of infant mortality, and grinding poverty, a paradox often attributed to an agricultural system that has favored large estate owners. Most Malawians reside in rural locations. The country's few large urban centers include Lilongwe, the capital, and Blantyre, the seat of the country's judiciary. Malawi stretches about 520 miles, 840 kilometers, from north to south and varies in width from 5 to 100 miles, 10 to 160 kilometers. It is bordered by Tanzania to the north, Lake Malawi to the east, Mozambique to the east and south, and Zambia to the west. Malawi, a landlocked country in southeastern Africa. It is bordered by Zambia to the west, Tanzania to the north and northeast, and Mozambique to the east, south, and southwest. Malawi spans over 118,484 square kilometers, 45,747 square miles, and has an estimated population of 22,224,282, as of July 2025. Lilongwe is its capital and largest city, while the next three largest cities are Blantyre, Mzuzu, and Zomba, the former capital. The part of Africa known as Malawi was settled around the 10th century by the Akafola, also known as the Abathwa. Later, the Bantu groups came and drove out the Akafola and formed various kingdoms such as the Malawi and Gamanga kingdoms, among others that flourished from the 16th century. In 1891, the area was colonized by the British as the British Central African Protectorate, and it was renamed Nyasaland in 1907. In 1964, Nyasaland became an independent country as a Commonwealth realm under Prime Minister Hastings Bunda, and was renamed Malawi. 2 years later, Bunda became president by converting the country into a one-party presidential republic. Bunda was declared president for life in 1971. Independence was characterized by Bunda's highly repressive dictatorship. After the introduction of a multi-party system in 1993, Bunda lost the 1994 general election. Today, Malawi has a democratic, multi-party republic headed by an elected president. According to the 2024 VDEM Democracy Indices, Malawi is ranked 74th electoral democracy worldwide and 11th electoral democracy in Africa. The country maintains positive diplomatic relations with most countries, and participates in several international organizations, including the United Nations, the Commonwealth of Nations, the Southern African Development Community, SADC, the Common Market for Eastern and Southern Africa, CUMSA, and the African Union, O. Malawi is one of the world's least developed countries. The economy is heavily based on agriculture, and it has a largely rural and growing population. Malawi has experienced progress in the economy, education, and healthcare in recent years. Malawi has a low life expectancy and high infant mortality. HIV/AIDS is highly prevalent, which both reduces the labor force and requires increased government expenditures. The country has a diverse population that includes native peoples, Asians, and Europeans. Several languages are spoken. The population is predominantly Christian and the majority are Protestant. Identification with a shared Malawian nationality has strengthened in recent decades. Malawi is a landlocked country in southeastern Africa, bordered by Zambia to the northwest, Tanzania to the northeast, and Mozambique to the south, southwest, and general east. The Great Rift Valley runs through the country from north to south, and to the east of the valley lies Lake Malawi, also called Lake Nyasa, making up over 3/4 of Malawi's eastern boundary. Lake Malawi is sometimes called the Calendar Lake as it is about 365 miles, 587 kilometers, long and 52 miles, 84 kilometers, wide. The Shire River flows from the south end of the lake and joins the Zambezi River 400 kilometers, 250 miles, farther south in Mozambique. The surface of Lake Malawi is at 457 meters, 1,500 feet, above sea level, with a maximum depth of 701 meters, 2,300 feet, which means the lake bottom is over 213 meters, 700 feet, below sea level at some points. In the mountainous sections of Malawi surrounding the Rift Valley, plateaus rise generally 914 to 1,219 meters, 3,000 to 4,000 feet, above sea level, although some rise as high as 2,438 meters, 8,000 feet, in the north. To the south of Lake Malawi lies the Shire Highlands, gently rolling land at approximately 914 meters, 3,000 feet, above sea level. In this area, the Zamba and Malanye mountain peaks rise to respective heights of 2,134 and 3,048 meters, 7,000 and 10,000 feet. Malawi's capital is Lilongwe, and its commercial center is Blantyre, with a population of over 500,000 people. Malawi has 2 sites listed on the UNESCO World Heritage List. Lake Malawi National Park was first listed in 1984, and the Chongoni Rock Art Area was listed in 2006. Malawi's climate is hot in the low-lying areas in the south of the country and temperate in the northern highlands. The altitude moderates what would otherwise be an equatorial climate. Between November and April, the temperature is warm with equatorial rains and thunderstorms, with the storms reaching their peak severity in late March. After March, the rainfall rapidly diminishes, and from May to September, wet mists float from the highlands into the plateaus, with almost no rainfall during these months. Malawi is among the world's least developed countries. Around 85% of the population lives in rural areas. The economy is based on agriculture, and more than 1/3 of GDP and 90% of export revenues come from this. In the past, the economy has been dependent on substantial economic aid from the World Bank, the International Monetary Fund, IMF, and other countries. Malawi was ranked the 119th safest investment destination in the world in the March 2011 Euromoney country risk rankings. The Malawian government faces challenges in developing a market economy, improving environmental protection, dealing with the rapidly growing HIV/AIDS problem, improving the education system, and satisfying its foreign donors to become financially independent. Malawi has a population of over 19 million, with a growth rate of 3.32%, according to 2021 estimates. The population is forecast to grow to over 47 million people by 2050, nearly tripling the estimated 16 million in 2010. Malawi's estimated 2016 population is, based on most recent estimates, 18,091,575. Malawi's population is made up of the Chua, Tumbuka, Yao, Lomwe, Sina, Tonga, Ngoni, and Ngond native ethnic groups, as well as populations of Chinese and Europeans. The only official language is English. The country does not have a declared national language per its constitution. All students in public elementary school receive instruction in Chichewa, which is not the official national language of Malawi. Students in private elementary schools, however, receive instruction in English if they follow the American or British curriculum. Malawi is a majority Christian country, with a significant Muslim minority. Government surveys indicate that 87% of the country is Christian, with a minority 11.6% Muslim population. The largest Christian groups in Malawi are the Roman Catholic Church. Television Malawi, run by the Malawi Broadcasting Corporation, MBC, is the national public broadcaster of Malawi. Established under an Act of Parliament in 1964, MBC operates both radio and television services. Football is the most common sport in Malawi, introduced during British colonial rule. Its national team has failed to qualify for a World Cup so far but has made 3 appearances in the Africa Cup of Nations. Football teams include the Mighty Wanderers, Big Bullets, Silver Strikers, Blue Eagles, Sivo Sporting, Moyle Barracks, and Mighty Tigers. Basketball is also growing in popularity, but its national team is yet to participate in any international competition. More success has been found in netball, with the Malawi national netball team ranked 6th in the world, as of March 2021. Malawian cuisine is diverse, with tea and fish being popular features of the country's cuisine. Sugar, coffee, corn, potatoes, sorghum, cattle, and goats are also important components of the cuisine and economy. Lake Malawi is a source of fish, including shambo, similar to bream, uzapa, similar to sardines, and pasa, similar to salmon and campango. 156 ensima is a food staple made from ground corn and typically served with side dishes of meat and vegetables. It is commonly eaten for lunch and dinner. Malawi shares its name with the Chua word for flames and is linked to the Maravi people from whom the Chua language originated. The Maravi settled in what is now Malawi around 1400, during one of the later waves of Bantu migration across Central and Southern Africa. A powerful Maravi kingdom established around 1500 reached its zenith around 1700, when it controlled what is now southern and central Malawi and portions of neighboring Mozambique and Zambia. The kingdom eventually declined because of destabilization from the escalating global trade in enslaved people. In the early 1800s, widespread conflict in southern Africa displaced various ethnic Ngoni groups, some of which moved into Malawi and further undermined the Maravi. Members of the Yao ethnic group, which had long traded with Malawi from Mozambique, introduced Islam and began to settle in Malawi in significant numbers in the mid-1800s, followed by members of the Lilongwe ethnic group. British missionary and trading activity increased in the area around Lake Nyasa in the mid-1800s, and in 1891, Britain declared a protectorate called British Central Africa over what is now Malawi. The British renamed the territory Nyasaland in 1907, and it was part of the colonial federation of Rhodesia and Nyasaland, including present-day Zambia and Zimbabwe from 1953 to 1963 before gaining independence as Malawi in 1964. Hastings Kamuzibunda served as Prime Minister at independence and then as President when the country became a republic in 1966. He later instituted one-party rule under his Malawi Congress Party, MCP, and was declared president for life. After 3 decades of one-party rule, the country held multi-party presidential and parliamentary elections in 1994 under a provisional constitution that came into full effect the following year. Bakali Mulazai of the United Democratic Front Party became the first freely elected president of Malawi when he defeated Bunda at the polls in 1994. He won re-election in 1999. President Bingu W. Mutharika was elected in 2004 and re-elected to a second term in 2009. He died abruptly in 2012 and was succeeded by Vice President Joyce Bunda. Mutharika's brother, Peter Mutharika, defeated Bunda in the election in 2014. Peter Mutharika was re-elected in a disputed election in 2019 that resulted in countrywide protests. The courts ordered a new election, and in 2020, Lazarus Chakwera of the MCP was elected president. Population growth, increasing pressure on agricultural lands, corruption, and HIV/AIDS pose major problems for Malawi. Malawi was named one of the top 10 countries to visit in the world in 2014 by Lonely Planet's Best in Travel 2014. Government: Malawi gained independence on July 6, 1964 and was previously known as Nyasaland. Capital: Lilongwe. Major languages: English and Chichewa, both official. Major religions, Christianity, 80%, and Islam, 20%. Currency, Malawi Kwacha, MWK. Media, radio is the medium of choice. A state TV station opened in 1999. Area, 118,480 square kilometers, 46,000 miles. Superscript 2, half the size of the UK. Climate, subtropical, rainy season, December to May, dry season, May to December. Lake, 585 kilometers long by 80 kilometers wide, 364 miles long by 50 miles wide. Population, 21.1 million, 2023 World Bank, growing at 3% per year. Average life expectancy at birth, 63 years, 2022 World Bank. Fertility rate, 3.8 children born per woman, 2022 World Bank. Infant mortality, 30 deaths per 1,000 live births, 2022 World Bank. Number of people living with HIV, 980,000, 2023 UNAIDS. Orphans due to AIDS, aged 1 to 17, 440,000, 2023 UNAIDS. Percentage of population below the poverty line, exceeding 70%, 2024 World Bank. Average annual income, $480 per year, 2024 International Monetary Fund. Main exports, Malawi's main export is tobacco, which accounts for 36.6% of total exports. Others include, gold, 19%, tea, 7.1%, ground nuts, 6.85%, dried legumes, 4.84%, and sugar, 2.57%. Source OEC 2022. Area split, 82% live in the rural areas, 18% in the towns, Malawi Census 2021. With a population of over 21 million, Malawi is largely an agricultural country and is making efforts to overcome decades of underdevelopment and the more recent impact of a growing HIV/AIDS problem. In 2023, almost 1 million people were living with HIV/AIDS. More than half the population lives below the poverty line, and turbulent politics have hampered governance and continue to be a concern. Malawi has not been a premier African tourist destination, but it is a real jewel for those who do visit. It is known as the warm heart of Africa for a very good reason. The Malawians are some of the friendliest people you will ever meet. The country is about half the size of the United Kingdom or the size of Pennsylvania, and 1/5 is covered by Lake Malawi, which is home to more species of fish than any other lake in the world, including about 1,000 species of cichlids. It is bordered by Tanzania to the north, Zambia to the west, and Mozambique to the east and south. One of Malawi's great attractions is its diversity of natural landscapes. The Rift Valley floor stretches the length of the country, and Lake Malawi occupies most of it, being 364 miles, 585 kilometers, long and 50 miles, 80 kilometers, across at its widest point, which makes it the third largest freshwater lake in Africa. The vegetation along the lakeshore is lush and often supports local farming. The weather here is warm all year round. There are highland areas with cool fresh air and clear mountain streams, and, as you climb, the deciduous forests give way to heaths, grassland, and evergreen forests. For flower lovers, there is great diversity, including 400 orchid species. These are found at all altitudes around the country. There are also numerous everlasting flowers, proteas, aloes and gladioli, with reed beds and water lilies in the lower Shire lagoons. Ngata Bay is located in northern Malawi. Its port has a sheltered anchorage on the western shore of Lake Malawi, which is equipped with modern floating and pile jetties to export agricultural produce of the hinterland. Malawi fact: the passenger and freight ferry, called the Ilala, also docks here, and this was originally built near Glasgow, Scotland, and has been operating on Lake Malawi since 1951. Thank you for watching this video.